terrible hospitality. Would you guys mind putting your name and your email? Because I have it. Thank you.
I'll be back in a bit.
Okay, is it on?
Yes.
All right. When I said I'm fine, I wasn't being defensive. I was that I had said to Ryan I might need some help because with the whole mirroring things, my computer got messed up with the mirroring yesterday, but I'm good.
Good.
Yeah.
The message never got to.
No, well, it healed itself.
Good.
So, great.
That's
Thanks.
Sure.
So tell me about your names. If not yet, because you just took a minute. That was bad timing.
My name is Jessica. And that's all the rest.
Okay, and you're a GSSW student?
I'm a GSSW student at the foundation here.
Okay.
And I didn't get to do study abroad in my undergrad, even though I was a global studies major.
Oh, wow.
So to know that GSSW has these kind of similar study abroad opportunities is wonderful. And I'm interested in conflict resolution and international social work. So kind of, I'm all about it.
Great. And have you been anywhere near Bosnia?
I have not. I haven't done much traveling in my life,
Okay.
but I did go to Poland for a family trip a couple years ago.
That's not so far. Eastern
Not too
Europe.
far. Yeah.
Do you have roots in Poland?
Yeah, my mom's from Poland.
So yeah, you have serious roots in Poland. Which part?
She grew up in Warsaw.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, well great, well welcome.
Yeah. I'm Valerie, I'm a GSSW as well. I did get to study abroad in my undergrad. I went to Copenhagen, which was so life-changing. It was just amazing. Like, I worked at a daycare, I guess it was daycare, yeah. And it was just interesting to like communicate with the children because they didn't speak English and I don't speak Danish, so it was just really interesting to like
Sounds familiar.
figure to like figure that all out, and the kids were just like, I don't know, it was awesome. But yeah, so basically every school I applied to for grad school had some sort of international component that I could possibly do. Like I'm so into traveling and I love it. So yeah, I've just been going to all these events to see which one fits. Yeah, I've been to Poland as well.
Where were you in Poland?
I was in Krakow. My dad's family is from Poland. He's not. And then I went to Turkey. I guess it's kind of near Bosnia-ish. Right?
It's easy to get to from Bosnia.
Yeah, those are the two closest I've been. But I've basically just been to like Western Europe most of the time.
Okay.
So yeah.
I'm glad you guys are here. I don't know how many people even know about this information session. Information got out pretty late because for reasons that I will explain in terms of some changes that happened with the program. But I should introduce myself if I haven't done so. I'm Ann Petrella and I'm the field director here, but also get to do 2 programs in Bosnia, which is amazing to me. And I want to introduce Ahmad, who went last year on this program, so he graciously came.
Yes, just last summer.
Wow.
I was firstly from Bosnia, so yeah, I've been thinking about Bosnia all the time.
And I know you have to be somewhere at 12, so if
Yes.
we're still talking when you need to leave, please feel free.
Sure.
And to go, and thanks for coming. So have you guys come, did either of you come to the Bosnia class info session that I did? Okay.
Yesterday? Or before?
No, one of these info sessions for the,
No.
okay. Were you in the class yesterday?
I was supposed to be, but I was under the weather.
Ah,
I was
okay.
in class yesterday.
Oh, you were, okay.
Oh yeah, you're in my class.
Oh,
Yeah.
Listen,
That's
who
not a class,
are you? Oh, yeah.
No,
Okay.
I knew who she was. I just couldn't remember what class it was that we were there for.
So you heard a little bit about Bosnia yesterday, but I want to tell you guys a bit of history about Bosnia briefly and why we do this program. I've been doing work in Bosnia since 2007, and I started going to take the place of someone actually who used to go regularly, who was from Croatia, a social worker from Croatia who lives in Denver now, and she couldn't go the year that she needed to go in 2007, actually for this program, because she was very, 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 very pregnant. And so, to my good fortune, I got to go, and then thinking it was just going to be a one-time trip, and to do a few things with agencies there. And then when I got there, I thought, I need to stay. I need to figure out you know the feeling, which you you can share too. And I'm going to interrupt me at any time, okay? Because I'm going to go through this, but if you have things to say before I'm done, say it. And then, but at the end, I hope you'll have things to say too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so was able to, over the years, develop a course that goes to Bosnia. So we do have an international course here that's just for GSSW students that meets in the spring 3 times, similar to the other international courses that we have here, and then travels for 2 weeks to Bosnia in June. This is an internship that we have here, which is actually open to all graduate students on the campus. So it's a multidisciplinary one that goes to Bosnia longer, and I will tell you more about that. So this, you heard this yesterday about where Bosnia is, and if you've been to Poland, you may know where it is. I actually thought Poland and Bosnia were much closer together than they actually are. I actually thought Lithuania and Bosnia were closer because my roots are Lithuanian, and so I thought I'll just skip over to Lithuania sometime and realized Lithuania is like at the top of the world. But this is where Bosnia is. It's directly across the Adriatic from Italy, and it's part of the former Yugoslavia. So all of these, most of the things that are featured here, not obviously Austria-Hungary or Romania, but they were all republics in the former Yugoslavia. And so what this program is, I said it's open to all graduate students. Oh, you'll recognize Ahmed. You have more hair back. we all will get very furry as the summer goes on. And in this, these are some students from last year, and also our good friend Saliha, who is standing there, who's a genocide survivor, and she had us over for the day. My intention was to help her with this enormous garden that she has in the back, which she would not let us, of course, lift a finger. You know, she had told me we could, but she wouldn't let us. And she cooked this food for us that was unbelievable, and it was during Ramadan, and she was fasting. And so, gives you a sort of glimpse into the graciousness of the Bosnian people. And then she shared her amazing story with us. So one of the things that we are very fortunate about in Bosnia is knowing lots and lots of people, and knowing them really well. And they're very welcoming of us, and they are delighted that students want to come and hear their story. So this, she's a honey.
These are just people in the community, not affiliated with any kind of university?
Yeah, she's a genocide survivor who lives on the outskirts of a town, Srebrenica, where one of the main genocide, if you're a genocide person, you have heard of it. And yeah, she's part of our really our family over there. Yeah. And so this was the first year. Last summer was the first summer that I took students to see her. I always go see her myself and spend as much time with her as I can. But she had asked me a few years ago, why don't you bring your students? And she actually said, would your students, do you think they'd be willing to come? I said, yeah, they would love to come. But she saw it as that we were the ones giving her something because we came to see her, which is unbelievable. So this program really, it's an integration between academic learning and then an internship. And internships are service-based internships. This is at Srebrenica, and in the middle, in the white shirt, is another one of our amazing friends and colleagues, Hasan Hasanovic, who is very involved in our learning there. These are some of the students from last year, and me desperately needing a haircut. I forgot how woolly we all become. So this internship is 5 DU credits. They're summer credits, so the expense of the program is primarily that, because unlike the other programs where you can put your credits into another quarter, you can't do that with this internship, because the 5 credits are, for the most part, what becomes the budget for the class. It's set up differently than other programs that we have here, at least this year. It's set up that way. So the 5 credits can be actual internship credits, if you would like them to be, or they can be elective credits, they can be values credits. They can be any number of things. Some GSSW students, most of the GSSW students who've done this program have not actually used it as an internship. I mean, they do the internship, it shows up that you've done the internship, but they then decided to use the credits for the academic side of things and then do a complete internship when they come back in the fall. Because you can't get all of your hours that are necessary for for the GSSW internship is at 600. So even if students would do this and use 5 internship credits, you still have to have arranged for the rest of an internship when you come back, which I could talk to you about individually if you're thinking of doing it. On the left is just an example of the language. It's actually, there's some words in Polish that are the same. The word for apple is the same. The word for book is the same. Those were the only 2 words when I was in Poland I recognized in Polish, because I thought, it's the same.
You speak, is it Bosnian?
I'm sorry?
Is it Bosnian?
You know, it's interesting because the language, the name of the language is politicized, as is everything in Bosnia. So I don't know if you were here when the young man who's your classmate stopped in. He'd been to Croatia. He said, I speak Croatian, so maybe that will help. Well, Croatian and Bosnian and Serbian are basically the same language, but they're called something different. It's a Slavic language. And so why Bosnia? So, as I said, Bosnia was part of the former Yugoslavia, and in 1992 it declared its independence after Slovenia had declared independence and Croatia had declared independence. In Slovenia, it was a very sort of peaceful transition into independence. Croatia less so. And in Bosnia, it was a horrible, horrible war and genocide that happened. And so this university actually has had this internship under a variety of names since 1996. So this university went in right after the war, and the students at that point worked in refugee camps, and it was a whole different experience, of course. But it's continued with a very few years of exception. And now it's really looking at what's happening in the post-conflict region. And it's so rich in history and so rich in culture that it's amazing because we can go safely to a relatively recent post-conflict region, but also have this incredible learning of culture and history. So the internship is multifaceted, really. This whole program is try to really balance looking at the amazing, as I said, history and culture of the region and the Balkans, balanced with the war and what happened, and then balanced with what's happening now in terms of people trying to recover. Because it wouldn't be fair to do just any one of those things. It wouldn't be fair to just focus on the war, because Bosnia is so much more than that. It also would be unthinkable to ignore that, because the reason that we are able to go and have work to do is because of the war. So it's really looking at all of this from a human rights, social justice perspective. So the internships are at NGOs, some local ones, some national ones, some international ones. This is actually a student from 2 years ago. She was at the Sarajevo Open Center, which is one of the few organizations that's doing LGBT rights in Bosnia, because that's a pretty new movement there. So in the past, we've had partnerships with some of these organizations and many more. Actually, yours is at the top, where you interned. So there are, you can see USAID is obviously a U.S., it's an embassy-based organization there. The Atlantic Initiative is an EU organization. All of the rest are either local or national nonprofits that are set up for dealing with mental health issues, children's issues, legal, environmental, school, I mean, most anything you can think of in terms of needs of the community. There are organizations that are at least attempting to address those. The mental health system is quite different there, as it is in most every other part of the world than here. So Wings of Hope, for example, is the closest thing that Sarajevo has to anything resembling a mental health center that we would have, even though it's structured quite different. But there's work obviously has to be done in English unless you speak the language, which sometimes people do. I mean, sometimes I've had students go with me actually who were born in Bosnia. But all of these organizations and many others that have opportunity for work to be done in English. And actually agencies really are very happy to have English speakers, because they need reports written, they need grants written, they need all those sorts of things. And it goes against really what I think we all like to do in terms of being immersed in a country. To expect that we have to do something in our own language is obnoxious on the one hand. On the other hand, it's the only practical way to be able to work in Bosnia because of the language. And there's a big international presence, and English is the international language. So fortunately, we have something we can offer.
Are there small courses to learn?
Yeah, we do offer a course before we go, a 10-week course, which I'll talk about. Did you do it? You couldn't.
It was so busy, you know.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not judging.
Yeah.
Right.
My friends liked it so much. It was a really good course. I didn't learn that much. I learned my own before we left,
Yeah.
but it was really helpful to the class. I mean, I saw my friends were way better than me speaking, you know, trying to speak with public.
Yeah.
I wasn't that good. I know some few words, but
So we do it's I'm sorry.
Like an intro.
Yeah, and it's done through the World Language Center. We have a native Bosnian speaker teach us, so I can tell you more about that. So in spring quarter, even though this internship is registered for in the summer, there's 5 classes in the spring that are, and I'm not going to tell you more about his ideas about all of this, but they're focused on all the things we've already discussed. They're focused on culture, history, genocide, religious tensions, ethnic strife, recovery, all of those sorts of things. They meet in the evenings from 6 to 9. And then the language lessons that we talked about, those are also held on an evening, because it's the one time everyone can potentially get together, so they're scheduled on a different evening. And then we do a half-day retreat for those who are doing the program. And also in the spring, what happens once people are accepted to the program and decide to do the program is I sit down individually with everyone and figure out what your internship interests are. And all the internships are set up, for the most part, before we get there. Just like here, we have relationships with a number of organizations. I mean, we have 600 some here. We don't have that in Bosnia, of course, but we have many more organizations than we have students. So all of that selection and choice is done during spring quarter. So before you go, if you were to do this, you would know where you were going. So this is actually the coast of Croatia. And these are the tentative dates for in-country. It's 8 weeks, so it could move a day or two on either side, but most likely these will be the weeks involved. It's, on the one hand, it's the perfect time to be in Bosnia, and on the other hand, it's not the best. The perfect time is that Bosnia is Sarajevo, all of Bosnia, but Sarajevo, where we spend most of our time, is cafe culture. People are out. It's people. You want to be there in the months where you can be out and about, because it's such an outdoor community. One of the issues is that come August, a lot of organizations are sort of slowing down for the summer, and so we have to manage that. It's not a huge problem, but it's something that does happen. So we live together in a hostel in Old Town, which is called Bashar Shia. This is the kitchen of the hostel. It makes me miss people looking at the pictures. And so the hostel, it's shared living space. There's no more than 3. Most rooms have 2 people. Some rooms have 3. We have our own sort of flat, as they call it, our own floor in the hostel. But then there's the community. It's a working hostel and continues to work while we're there. But so there's a community kitchen, a community big day room where they serve breakfast. And it's the location, again, there's pros and cons to everything. The good news is it's right in the center of everything. And the Old Town was settled by the Ottoman Empire, so it's the old Turkish part of town. And you can get anywhere from right out our front door. But if you look through those windows, you can see, and down below is the most successful nightclub in Sarajevo called Cheers, which is loud, right? There's no, I mean, it's loud. It's loud, it's so loud. And it's really loud. The older you are, the louder it is. So to me, it's like, how could this be? But it's again, the balance of being in a place that serves us well for most things that we need. And then people figure out how to get sleep, and I bring earplugs.
I promise to get used to it. And
Yeah.
you're gonna enjoy it too.
So just a couple more things. This program, this internship really emphasizes reflective learning. That's really, really important to me as part of this program, because it's, I mean, all research on international internships, work service learning programs shows that the more reflection and education is built into it, the better it goes for everyone, which is, that makes sense. And so there's journaling that happens before we go. There's assignments that are based on reflection while we're there. We have built-in times to do that. We keep a blog. So for social work students, that tends to be okay, and actually welcome. For other students from other disciplines, sometimes not so much. So really the goal is to immerse ourselves as much as we can and learn from people in Bosnia. These are the chess guys, which in many cities in Europe there are chess guys. These guys are really awesome, and that apparently, I can't understand enough of what they say to know specifically, but friends tell me that they swear and cuss and try to distract each other and insult each other all day long. So, and they're having a great time. And they're out there in the winter, they're out there in the summer. Up in the left is actually a friend of ours, Rahima, who lives up in a semi-nomadic village that we go up to. And what she's making there are these very traditional wool socks that many people actually buy from her. Did you get socks?
I did. I was stuck in the embassy.
Oh, we didn't go. How could I forget? That's right. That's a whole other story. So internships are Monday through Thursday, and then on Fridays, most Fridays we do some sort of educational excursion, which is which is connected to one of these areas I talked about, the war, the recovery, beautiful scenery. So on the left is you can see the ICMP, which is the International Commission on Missing Persons, which we go to. We spend a fair amount of time there, and then in Srebrenica, where the genocide happened. We also then, you can see on the right, go to, this is Kravica Falls, which is this amazing waterfall that you can swim. I took the picture far enough away that no one wanted to be picture taken in the bathing suit. So, and you found a snake in the water.
Yeah,
a water snake, which led to all sorts of snake-manic things, which are best not told. And so, anyway, I think this picture really captures the fact that we go back and forth, because that's the experience of Bosnia. It's horror and mass graves and genocide, and then it's some of the most beautiful scenery you will ever see. So these are just some things that people have written before. It's really, again, important to me that this has an impact on everyone who goes in. It's almost impossible that it wouldn't. The building that you see there that's sort of highlighted is the National Library that actually opened this summer for the first time since the war, because it was set on fire. And during the siege of Sarajevo, got thousands and thousands of important books and manuscripts were burned. It'd be like if our National Library, National Gallery were set on fire. And so
that happens in war, and it's just honestly, I think for me personally, it's one of the saddest parts of the war, is when you attack the buildings and places of knowledge.
culture. Exactly.
It's essentially just erase.
That's exactly right. So you couple that with the genocide, and the attempt really was to annihilate one of the groups of people who were there. Yeah, I mean, war is horrible in every way, shape, and form. But when you intentionally go after culture, that's. So this is the old town. This is very near to where we stay, Asharshia, and you can see that's called the Sebi, which if you come, you get very used to that because that's where people meet. Everybody meets, including pigeons. This is a building, a house outside of Srebrenica. What I like about this picture is that it's obviously, I don't like the fact that it's a house that was so damaged in the war, but you can see they have a garden. They have a garden now that they're growing their food. So whoever house this is, they're not living in it, but they're still growing food. So just a few other sort of testimonies and pictures. This is also in the town of Srebrenica. So you can see the building that will most likely never be fixed, the house in the middle, and it's surrounded on both sides by houses and including in that house, there's an amazing rose garden. The roses in the gardens are remarkable. So there's financial aid available for this program, and it's The application will be up online soon. It's not up yet, and it will be due the end of January. The reason it's not up yet is that this program, up until like 3 days ago, officially lived in the Office of Internationalization. It was an international service learning program along with several other ISL programs that DU has. That office decided that they were no longer going to provide the administrative oversight for these programs, and so they're going somewhere. And I've been the faculty director of this program for 4 years, so it made sense that all parts of the program would move over here, even though it's still a university-wide program. And so that decision was just officially formalized this week. So that's why we have to change some things over. This is the Bosnian flag. It's actually the flag that was imposed on Bosnia after the war because of all everything that is so complicated. Bosnia could not use their traditional flag that they had. So the international community came up with this flag for them. So you don't see it flying very much because it'd be as if our stars and stripes had to go away and then somebody from Saudi Arabia or somewhere in the international community said, here's what your flag has to be. We would say, okay, but it wouldn't really be our flag, right?
Is there like meaning behind the stars?
Yeah, it represents each republic that was part of Yugoslavia, and then like a broken piece. I think there's maybe just five complete stars, and then what would be the sixth one is broken. So actually, there were lots of flags when we were there last year, especially the first group, because Bosnia was in the World Cup, and so that was insane. All right, do you want to say a few some words, and then I'll, because I know you need to go, then I'll pass out some stuff.
Yeah, cool.
And then I'll also see what questions you have for a real life person who wants to question.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, before I signed up late, and I'm a graduate. I'm doing PhD here, so I'm kind of busy, and I'm an engineer. I don't belong to this college. I'm in a different college, and it's a long story. But I applied late. I got accepted, and I was really hesitant, to go, not to go, as it works, as not, stuff like that. Then I was thinking that Sarajevo is just one street with really, very distracted place, and war traces everywhere, unfriendly people because the war stuff. And I was really just cautious and afraid and scared to go, and for security reasons and stuff like that. And found, oh no, we're going to Bosnia, it's a war place, all this stuff.
Your family?
Yeah, my family. It was like, my mom was like, no, you come here. No. Because my family lives in Saudi, some of them. So my parents lived there. So they said no, blah blah blah. Then I decided to go. To be short, it was the best summer I ever had. I've been around. I've traveled. I've been in Canada. I lived in Montreal, in Vancouver, Greece, Turkey, everywhere. I mean, all that region. Like Bosnia, it was cheap, awesome people. It's like Europe. It's just a small town of Europe. It's just like Brussels or Paris. Or I liked it way more than Paris, for example, because it was in Paris just that summer. It was in Brussels, it was in Frankfurt. But Sarajevo is different. Bosnia is awesome. Amazing people. They're so friendly. They love to talk, help.
Try to find you a wife.
Oh, yeah, of course. You're going to get a lot of husbands. All the offers, yeah.
But not from people on the street. It's not the kind of culture where sometimes, especially as females, if we travel, it's uncomfortable on the street because of, people saying things. It's not that happens like once a year. But people who... When
they get comfortable, when
right.
they like you, they get along. So, yeah, my internship was amazing. They still contact me, and they said, we miss you, please visit us again and stuff. And I'm planning to visit again, even though I've had a lot of problems getting into Bosnia. And I had to travel to Croatia 2 times in order to solve some issues I've encountered there. So,
Because of his passport.
yeah, because
Not because of anything he did.
right. Yeah, it's just a passport.
Right.
But it led for something good. So we've met, you know, the Bosnian president, some ambassadors, the minister, was it the finance or not the finance? The defense minister, the Bosnian defense minister, and you know, it was cool. I guess it was. Yeah, but it's amazing. I really highly recommend everyone to experience such thing. Yeah, it was one of the best time I've ever had, and I just keep telling people that even my friends, they're planning to visit Bosnia for just, you know, tourism. So yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's really nice to go and see. Also, I participated in a Peace March, which is a three days.
Tell them about that.
Oh yeah, the 3 days long walking. You know, the people after they were seated in Srebrenica. So they had, you know, I think you've read about the Dutch forces, the UN peacekeepers in Srebrenica, just in Puchachari, which is just, you know, outside of Srebrenica. Then people were forced to be separated. The men were forced to be separated from women, and they were slaughtered, and they were killed and chased in the forest. Some of them made it through the forest to Tuzla, which is three days walking from Srebrenica to Tuzla. So people now do the Peace March, which is walking from Tuzla back to Srebrenica. Same, you know, trails that people did in 1994 or 5. Okay. So in July. So I did that. I participated. It was really extreme. Like there was like 8,000 people participating from all over the world. And it was cool, it was nice, we were privileged a little bit because we were 3, like we were considered two Americans, and I'm Americanized, so yeah, so we were a little bit privileged, and we had our own tent and stuff. We tried to live with, you know, the people, but we used to stay with the people, but we invited them to stay with us in our tent. So it was awesome. You know, you get to know people. You hear stories. Some of them, like they lost their parents. Their parents were, you know, just, you know, running away from, you know, the Serbian forces. And you get to see also the genocide sites, the genocide, the massacre graves. Yeah, and it was different. It was different. Sometimes it just, you know, comes to my mind, like, okay, was that real? Yeah. So.
What do you think you're here for? Your class? Okay. I asked because there was something in this room and something in 348, and people were getting confused. So we'll be in here we'll get out of here in time for your class.
Okay.
Okay.
Can we hang out with you?
Sure. We're talking about the internship in Bosnia.
Oh, I can't believe you're on the staff still. I was here, I graduated 10 years ago, under class of 2004.
Oh, you're teaching?
Yeah, I'm teaching now.
I was at camp before. Yeah, I was at camp back then. Tell me your name.
Amy Bishop.
Oh, hi, Amy. Of course. You look like a young student.
I know, I can't just grow up.
I need to go to grow up school. I'm sorry I didn't recognize you.
No, it's okay.
So, do you have questions that you would like to ask?
I guess. So I know you like listed the internships. So what do each of those like kind of entail? Like what are the different options that you can do while you're there?
So, again, depending on students' interest, and since this is multidisciplinary, so the most number of students who go are from GSSW and Cornell International School. There are also conflict resolution students. Amama was our outlier, which was incredible that he ended up coming in terms of being a PhD student and being an engineer. When I first heard about him, I was like, seriously? Let me talk to him. But what he has is a surface orientation. Really, he's awesome. So I meet with each student individually to say what kind of work would you like to do, and similar to here, how we do internships here. So there are options of working with kids, young kids, adolescents, young adults, in a variety of places, some of which are designed specifically toward reconciliation of the three groups that are still at extreme odds. We have a language that is an EU security organization. USAID works on sort of development kind of things. Green Visions does ecotourism, and it's connected with one of the only groups that's really trying to preserve what's incredible there. Not only to bring people there to enjoy it, but to preserve it. There's no recycling, there's no anything, there's logging, there's all sorts of stuff. In a place where people, not so long ago were barely surviving, so that hasn't caught up yet. There's the LGBT organization, there's a concentration camp survivor organization, there's the mothers of a number of places, Srebrenica and some others, women's groups who are really the ones who mobilized to force the state to do something to honor the genocide victims. So where else were people? There's the Center for Healthy Aging, where there's, what has happened in Bosnia is that there's a whole couple of tiers of people who are dead or gone. So primarily men, but also women who are of an age now where they would be caring for their aging parents. And that is the structure of the culture and the society, but that is not happening because of all the tens of thousands of deaths and then more people leaving. So there's a day program there which is similar to what we might have here, but there it's extraordinary that it exists. And and they do well, you can talk about it. I mean, they do day activities. They have basic medical care. They do.
Yeah, they do. They sing. They play a lot of different games, and they knit.
They try to get
draw.
themselves in the Guinness Book of World Records by the most people over, I think, the age of 60 doing yoga at one place.
Yeah.
And they actually had it was up in the mountains, and they had the number of people, but there was no one from the Guinness Book there to document it. So anyway, so there's working with the elderly. We have there's a school that is a residential school for kids who are blind from around London. So there's really a whole variety of things. What kind of things are you interested in?
Mostly like kids and adolescents. I'm like all over the place.
It's good. It's good.
So yeah, I mean that all sounded interesting. That's something I'd be able to find something to do.
Yes, yes. And I think, again, we have enough of a network there that if someone's interested in something that we don't currently have, I do my best to try to partner with someone. And you go when you have to, but welcome to 5 minutes. You go. Okay. Let me give you, while you think of other questions you may have.
I just my question is similar, but I'm interested in skills building for conflict resolution and management specifically, but I get the sense that because it's been a while and they're kind of in the rebuilding process now, of course there's still tension, that maybe those opportunities aren't as available. Is that?
They're very available because what has happened in Bosnia is what you have the people who were the intended victims of the genocide, and if you're survivors of that, it's hard to find a person in Bosnia that actually didn't lose somebody in this war, in this genocide. So you have this group of people. Over here you have those who it has been determined by the ICTY, The Hague, to have been the perpetrators of the genocide. And over here you have still incredible denial, genocide denial. So so far on both sides of the table that to even consider getting to the table is almost impossible.
There's still a gap.
Oh, there is a gap that is...
Huge gap.
It is, the gap doesn't even begin to describe it. So, which of course would exist in a place where such a heinous crime happened and those who committed the crime are saying it never happened. So.
And they all live amongst each other. Still.
Well, yes, they all live in the same country, but it's for lots of reasons and political reasons, and actually what we did to them, the country, in terms of what the treaty that ended the war, the table agreement, it has institutionalized separation. And they have, and in order to end the war, their agreement was that there would be 3 presidents. There's a tri-presidency, one from each of the groups, which is just the beginning of the governmental dysfunction. So it's very interesting and impossible to imagine really how that can be until you get there. And then when you get there, it's even more possible.
So are they investigating, you know, that process of reconciliation in ways that maybe there was unintended consequences in the way that they structured it? So going back and exploring ways to fix it?
To fix the Dayton Agreement? Oh, yeah.
The institutionalized separation.
Yeah,
and
which is
any
all
other
from-
areas that aren't quite working the way they thought they would.
Right, like the whole country, because the Dayton Agreement was, and we go through this in detail in class, it was designed as an agreement, a treaty that ended the war, but it's now almost 20 years later, and it's still the constitution of the country, which was never the intention. It's really one of the most complicated, messed up governmental structures that there is, certainly in Europe. Which makes it incredibly fascinating, too, and even more inspiring that the people that we are able to partner with are able to get anything done. People are able to do something.
Well, and also a good, I think, case study for current conflicts in ways that will hopefully
Right.
be
Yeah, it was, yeah. But you do what you can at the time, right? If you have a horrible genocide and war going on, you end it. You try to end it, but yeah, lots of lessons learned, I hope. Anything else you want to be sure to say before I go into this?
Yeah, I think regarding the 3, we call them 3 families. Yeah, because you're going to see Croatians, Serbians, and Bosnians or Bosniaks. So sometimes they marry from each other, they're friends, they're families, but when it comes to the political issues, they're separated. And I went to Banja Luka, which is a Serbian, it's a government of Srpska, which is really, really different. They have their own flag, and they don't consider this flag as their country flag. They think themselves belong to Serbia instead of Bosnia, and it's really, really complicated. And with 3 presidents thing and ministers everywhere, ministries like 250 ministers.
Oh, at least, yeah.
Yeah, so it's
That's
really
3.
complicated.
Everything's 3.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting.
And it's so funny because at first in class with students, students will ask a question, I always go, well, it depends, and they get so irritated. It's like, quit saying it depends. And then once we're there and I hear people talking to their families on Skype, families will ask questions, it's like, well, it depends. So, let me just, this is last year's syllabus, so, but I wanted to give it to you because it would give you some idea of what we do. It's what I don't have on here, what I meant to include with what our excursions were, our educational excursions. And some things will change, but this gives you a general idea. This is the costs of the program, so let me go over that, because that's always...
So you would only basically take 3 other classes, and then this is a 4th class that you take for spring quarter?
No, well, you're in the class, but you don't register till summer.
Okay.
So, because then the bulk of the time is spent in country in the summer.
Okay.
So in terms of credits, that's what you'll see on here, that's the biggest expense here, is you have to pay for 5 summer credits. And so that's, just to briefly go over this, that's the bulk of the expense. There's a program fee. The language classes are optional, but really encouraged. And then what the credits cover, the tuition credits cover all the housing, and they cover all of the Friday program excursions and some weekend things that are part of the program. They cover some program meals, all of our guides and everything that we do that's connected to the program there. What it doesn't cover is day-to-day food, certainly personal travel, if people are wanting to do that, or airfare. And so students get themselves over there on the day that it starts. Whatever day it starts, you have to be there. And then we go from there.
The hostel has breakfast, right?
Right, the hostel serves breakfast. Food in Bosnia is very, very, very cheap and very, very, very healthy. It's all fresh. It's all free range meat if you're a meat eater. They don't use pesticides or anything. The vegetables or fruit. It's really amazing. how much would you say that you spent?
Very, very, very tasty.
Yeah, and
I
really.
missed it so much.
So, what students have said over the years, if that they have, and again, it depends. Some people travel, weekends are free, so some people travel every weekend, some people never left, sorry, which teachers are so much people down there. Students have said if they budgeted $100 each week, that was, for some students, more than enough in terms of food, souvenirs, that sort of stuff. Certainly if you go to, Turkey or something, it's more expensive. So then in terms of how this works with the rest of your schedule, so these are 5 credits that go toward graduation. And so they go toward graduation either as internship credits or, yeah, you can just, or credits then that you don't take elsewhere.
So, do you have an idea of what percentage of this total cost would be covered by the scholarship?
The program itself, you have to go. All right, good luck. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me. Nice
It's
to meet you
great to
guys.
see you.
Okay.
To Virginia.
Okay.
So the larger the group, the more scholarship money there is. It's an odd thing because of this whole discount rate at the university. So it would be possible, I can't say, I mean, it would be possible to get $1,000 per tour, most likely. It's based on need, and so sometimes it's more than that, sometimes it's less than that, but that's kind of the general, it depends on the pool of students too who need sweat. The other thing I encourage people to do is to meet with Linda Daubers, you know, our financial aid person. Oh, what, you?
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Because she's the one who knows, she will know your individual situation, and she knows what's available. And it's, and there's no doubt it's a ton of money. It's a chunk of money. Which I wish it wasn't. But that's how it's structured. So, oh, you know what I found? You have to put this in even if you're not using sun.
Yeah, I found a way to turn it down.
Oh. And so then what students have done who've done this, it allows you to take one class during the year, and then if you can do a one credit independent study with different classes. So. Will you guys let me know what other questions you have?
Yeah, absolutely.
You want to talk more about it?
Yeah.
Or if you would like to talk to some people from the program who did it?
Yeah, I've talked with a few people who did the service activities at the beginning of the quarter, and they have nothing but wonderful things to say.
Did you talk to John?
Oh,
Yeah, he did this program. Yeah, I was kidding. Tall, skinny guy. Yeah.
So, and actually, like I said, very much when I was a child, I saw this it was
Wow. Well, I appreciate you guys even coming to hear about it.
Yeah.
So, let me know. And I'll stay in touch and let me know if you have questions. Let me know if you want to make sure you go through.
Yeah.
Okay. And they won't help you. Yeah.
You're not. Yes, you are.
I'm so. That's the worst.
The other thing she's been able to do is increase people's ability to, for other, whether it's that or.
I love garlic. I love spice.
I don't know what to talk about, so
I haven't eaten any of that.
okay. Right. But please do talk to her, yeah.
That's going to be so hard to cook.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, it's great to talk with you, and if you did go.
What's that?
Some people